Arthur Allan Thomas's brother is worried the 81-year-old who spent almost a decade in jail for a crime he didn't commit won't get a fair trial after being charged with sex offences. Mr Thomas has pleaded not guilty to an historical rape charge and 4 indecent assault charges relating to 2 alleged victims. His name suppression lapsed today. Arthur Thomas was twice convicted of murdering Jeannette and Harvey Crewe at their Pukekawa farm in 1970. He was later pardoned and paid nearly $1 million in compensation. A scathing Royal Commission report found the police had planted a bullet case. Mr Thomas's brother Des spoke to me just as the charges became public.
Oh, well, it's a shock. I mean, well, we've got the case here where we've been trying to fight the police to reopen the Crewe murders and solve that. And they don't seem to be interested, even though there's new DNA technology nowadays, which could be used with there's existing evidence in the homicide file that could be used for DNA technology. And then we get this shock. When is Arthur going to get a break?
Were you aware that they were investigating him?
Oh, well, I won't comment about that at this stage, but I don't know what all the charges are. But the thing is that, when it comes to court cases, Arthur's had 18 judges have sat on his case over the years, and none of them got it right. He was pardoned in the finish by Robert Muldoon, and then the Commission of Inquiry justified the pardon because of all the lies and the planting of evidence by the police. What sort of chances has Arthur got to get a fair trial now in this sort of situation?
So, Des, what are you worried about in terms of that?
Well, next year's 50 years. We've been fighting to get someone to reinvestigate the Crewe murders, not something like Lovelock did. Well, when Lovelock carried out his review, he ignored Arthur was pardoned for that Crewe case, and he still tried to, in any way, insinuate that Arthur Thomas was still involved. Now, that's cruel. A pardon's a pardon. That's he was deemed to never have committed the crime.
Do you think your brother can get a fair trial?
No, well, it worries me. These are the sort of things that worry you, And we haven't seen it yet, have we? If we've had in the past, Robert Muldoon was the Prime Minister at the time. He was the one that pardoned Arthur for good cause, and Arthur was never ever exonerated through any court hearing.
Do you think a jury can be impartial when it comes to your brother and any charges he may face?
Well, what pisses me off there is that Lynette Stevens has tried to get an apology for Arthur, which should have been forthcoming when he was pardoned, and then it went before the Select Committee in Parliament, and 3 of those mongrels in there are ex-policemen, and they turned it down. See what I'm saying? It's always stacked against Arthur Thomas for some reason. And yet when it comes to, trying to resolve the Crewe murders, why don't they get stuck in there with this DNA technology, this new DNA technology, and investigate this case and get the thing resolved?
Could they be 2 separate things, though, Des, that they're looking at your brother in relation to these allegations and charges, and then what is happening in terms of the Crews is a separate issue? Do you believe that the police are able to separate those things out?
The Crewe murders was 50 years ago next year, Lisa. We've been fighting for them to resolve the Crewe murders. These charges have only just came up, haven't they, as far as the public's concerned? So why didn't they clean up the Crewe murders first? 50 years next year. That's disgusting.
Do you think your brother is innocent of all charges?
Look, I'm not judge and jury, and as I said to you, I don't fully know what all these charges are. So who knows? Who would know whether he's innocent or guilty of that? I mean, I'm not going to go out and say that he's innocent without not knowing, or he's guilty without knowing. I don't even know what the charges are.
Did your brother tell you he'd been charged?
No, I haven't. I haven't spoken to him since.
So, were you aware that the police were investigating him for these matters?
Well, I'll no comment on that at this stage until I see what these charges are.
Yeah, why don't you want to say whether you knew the police were looking into him or not?
Well, because I get pissed off that the media are only interested when Arthur Thomas seems to have the bloody finger pointed at him all the time, and we've been trying to get some sort of assistance for 50 years to resolve the Crewe murders, and no bastard's interested. That's what pisses me off, Lisa.
But did you think your brother...
And I've only just found out about this now. I'm bloody shocked about this. This is bloody disgraceful.
What's disgraceful about it, do you think?
Well, look, just before Christmas, he's arrested. Charges come out, It's all bloody planned to make it look bad all the time. It's made it look bad all the time, isn't it? Well, what worries me is Arthur Allan Thomas, going to get a fair go? Is he? I doubt it.
And that is Des Thomas, Arthur Allan Thomas's brother.